The girl's face was streaked with chocolate. A 17-year-old boy's hand twisted in her brown hair while 40 students watched and filmed. She clawed at his wrist, her knees scraping against scattered rose petals. Nobody helped. Then the school doors exploded open. A man in navy digital camouflage walked through, a German shepherd at his side. The boy didn't let go. He should have. That man had spent 12 years hunting terrorists in places most people couldn't pronounce. Now his daughter was being destroyed in front of him. Before we continue, tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe and stay until the end. This story will change how you see courage. The hand in Brenda's hair yanked harder. Say it, Dawson hissed into her face. Say you're worthless. Brenda's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Her 14-year-old body pressed against the cold metal lockers. Her yellow jacket was torn at the shoulder. Her backpack had fallen somewhere. Crushed roses were scattered across the floor like evidence at a crime scene. None of that mattered now. Only dignity mattered, and she was losing it by the second. Come on, say it. Dawson's grip twisted until her scalp burned. My dad owns this school. My dad owns this town. And you're just a nobody who thought she could play in my world. Say it. Phones surrounded them like a stadium audience. Laughter bounced off the walls. Someone yelled, "This is going viral," like this was entertainment. Brenda's vision started to blur at the edges. She thought about her father. She thought about the Valentine's card she'd written for someone real. She thought about the text she'd sent 18 minutes ago. Dad, please come, please. 3 words, no explanation. She prayed he understood. Dawson Prescott was 17 years old and had never heard the word no in his life. His father, Richard, owned half the commercial property in Westridge. His family name was on the gymnasium, the athletic complex, and the new STEM building. Teachers smiled at him even when he skipped class. Coaches started him even when he showed up drunk to practice. Girls dated him even when he treated them like property. He was untouchable. Everyone knew it, including Brenda. You think you can just ignore me? Dawson had cornered her 4 minutes ago, right after the proposal turned into public execution. You think you can exist in this school and not acknowledge me? I wasn't ignoring you, Brenda had whispered. I thought. You thought what? He'd shoved her against the lockers hard enough to rattle the entire row. That the flowers were real, that I actually wanted to date trash like you. The roses were a joke. His face had twisted with genuine amusement. Everything was a joke. The chocolates, the teddy bear, the whole Valentine's setup. Did you really think someone like me would want someone like you? I didn't. My friends bet me I couldn't make you cry in front of the whole school. Guess what? I'm about to win $500. Now his hand was in her hair, and Brenda knew exactly how worthless he thought she was. Vanessa Sterling stood 3 feet away, phone perfectly angled. She was Dawson's girlfriend, blonde, popular, and completely aware that her boyfriend was assaulting a freshman on camera. She adjusted the filter on her screen. Get her face, someone called out. Get her face when she breaks. Vanessa zoomed in. Brenda's eyes were watering, not from tears, from humiliation so complete it felt physical. Her yellow jacket was stained with chocolate. Her hair was tangled in Dawson's fist. Her hands had stopped clawing at his wrist. Bro, she's actually about to lose it, one of Dawson's friends said. He laughed nervously. That's kind of brutal. She'll be fine. Dawson's voice was ice cold. She needs to learn her place. The school's front doors slammed open. Ronnie walked through with fury at his heel. He was still wearing his Navy working uniform, digital camouflage in forest green and brown. His dark hair was cut military short. His jaw was set. His eyes were deadly. He'd been at the warehouse when Brenda's text came through. 3 words, no context. He'd told his supervisor there was a family emergency and driven 14 minutes in 9. Now he understood why. The crowd didn't notice him at first. Too busy filming, too busy laughing, too busy being exactly the kind of people Ronnie had spent his career protecting from threats they couldn't comprehend. Fury noticed everything. The German shepherd's ears flattened, his body lowered. A growl began building in his chest, low and deep, like thunder rolling over distant mountains. Ronnie put a hand on the dog's head. Not yet. He pushed through the crowd. Shoulders parted, backpacks shifted. A few students glanced at him, then did double takes at the uniform. Then he saw his daughter. Brenda's face was stained with tears and chocolate. A boy twice her size had his hand twisted in her hair. She wasn't fighting anymore. Something inside Ronnie went very still. Hey! His voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. 12 years as a Navy SEAL had taught him that the most dangerous men rarely raised their voices. Volume was for amateurs. Control was for professionals. Hey, he said again, let go of my daughter. Dawson looked up. For a moment, genuine confusion crossed his face. Then his eyes flicked to the uniform, to the dog, and something like recognition flickered. But Dawson Prescott had never met a threat he couldn't buy his way out of. His grip loosened slightly, but he didn't let go. Who the hell are you? Her father. Yeah, Dawson's signature smirk returned. Well, her father should teach her not to throw herself at people who are way out of her league. We were just having a conversation about boundaries. Let go. The hallway went dead silent. Even the phones stopped moving. Fury's growl deepened into something primal. The students nearest to the dog took 3 quick steps backward. Dawson's eyes darted between Ronnie and the shepherd. His hand finally released Brenda's hair. She collapsed against the lockers, gasping. Ronnie was at her side in 2 steps. He caught her before she hit the ground. Her scalp was red where Dawson had grabbed her. Her jacket was ruined. Her dignity was shattered. Daddy, she wheezed. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Don't apologize. His voice was gentle in a way that made the violence underneath even more terrifying. Breathe, just breathe. He helped her stand. Her legs were shaking. Her entire body was shaking. Let's go, Ronnie said quietly. We're leaving. Dawson should have let them leave. Years later, people would look back at this moment and wonder what was wrong with him. What kind of person watches a man rescue his humiliated daughter and decides to make it worse? The kind of person who's never faced a consequence in his life. Hey, soldier boy. Ronnie stopped. He didn't turn around. Better keep that mutt on a leash, Dawson's voice dripped with arrogance. And your daughter, too. Valentine's Day isn't over yet. Maybe she'll find someone desperate enough to actually want her. Silence. Every student in that hallway held their breath. Ronnie turned slowly. His hand was still on Brenda's shoulder. His eyes locked onto Dawson with an intensity that made the 17-year-old take an involuntary step backward. What did you say? Dawson's friends were shifting uncomfortably now. Vanessa had lowered her phone. Even the most oblivious bystanders could feel the temperature in the hallway drop. But Dawson Prescott had a reputation to protect. I said, he started. I heard what you said. Ronnie stepped forward, just 1 step. Let me tell you what I heard. I heard a 17-year-old boy assault my 14-year-old daughter. I heard him humiliate her in front of 40 witnesses. I heard him call my service dog a mutt. And I heard him threaten to do it again. Bro, it was just a prank. Do I look like I'm laughing? Dawson's face paled. Ronnie took another step. Fury moved with him, perfectly synchronized. I've spent 12 years protecting this country from people who hurt the innocent. I've done things you can't imagine in places you've never heard of. I've watched friends die and carried their bodies home. He was close enough now that Dawson could see the scars on his hands, could see the way his eyes didn't blink, could see that this wasn't a performance. So let me be very clear with you, Ronnie said softly. If you ever touch my daughter again, if you ever speak to her, look at her, or breathe in her direction, there won't be a school board meeting." He paused. "There won't be a phone call to your father." Another pause. "There will just be me, and you, and a conversation about what happens to people who hurt little girls and think money makes them untouchable." Dawson's mouth opened. Nothing came out. "Do we understand each other?" Dawson nodded once, quick. "Good." Ronnie turned back to Brenda, put his arm around her shoulders, and walked her out of that hallway while 40 students stood frozen, their phones still recording, finally understanding that some men can't be bought, threatened, or intimidated. Some men have faced worse than high school bullies and billion-dollar daddies. Some men are fathers, and there is nothing more dangerous than a father who just watched his daughter's heart get broken on Valentine's Day. Brenda Miller had never received flowers before. When she found the single red rose taped to her locker Monday morning, her first instinct was to look around for the camera crew. This had to be some kind of mistake. 14-year-old freshmen with frizzy brown hair and thrift store clothes didn't get roses at Westridge Academy. But there it was, real petals, real thorns, real red, and a note. "You caught my eye, Maury to come, D." Her heart did something stupid in her chest. "Oh my God, Brenda has a secret admirer." Maya Chen appeared at her shoulder, eyes wide. Maya was her only real friend at Westridge, another scholarship kid who understood what it meant to navigate a school where half the parking lot was filled with cars worth more than their parents' houses. "It's probably a joke," Brenda said quickly, tucking the note into her backpack. "Or maybe it's not," Maya grinned. "Maybe someone finally noticed you exist." Brenda wanted to believe that. She'd spent 4 months at this school being invisible, sitting alone at lunch, studying in empty hallways, watching the popular kids orbit each other like planets she'd never reach. Being noticed, actually being seen, felt like stepping into sunlight after living underground. Tuesday brought 2 roses and expensive chocolates with gold foil wrapping that cost more than her weekly lunch budget. "Tomorrow will be special. Wear something yellow, D." "Yellow," Maya frowned at the note. "That's specific." "Maybe he knows it's my favorite color." Brenda had worn her yellow jacket on the first day of school. It was the nicest thing she owned, a hand-me-down from her cousin, but it fit perfectly and made her feel brave. The teddy bear appeared during lunch on Tuesday. Vanessa Sterling, Dawson Prescott's girlfriend, captain of the cheer squad, walked over with 2 friends and handed Brenda a small brown bear holding a heart that said, "Be mine." "This is for you." Vanessa's smile was sharp and perfect. "Someone's got it bad for you, Miller. Better not disappoint them." That night, Brenda's phone buzzed. "Unknown number, did you get my gift?" "Brenda, yes, thank you. Who is this?" "Unknown, you'll find out tomorrow. Valentine's Day, main hallway, 3 p.m. Don't be late." "Unknown, and remember, wear yellow." Brenda couldn't sleep. She kept imagining scenarios. A boy she'd never noticed would step forward with more flowers. He'd tell her he'd been watching her, that he liked how she always helped the librarian shelve books, or how she was kind to the janitor everyone else ignored. Someone would finally see her the way her father saw her, as worth something. Wednesday morning arrived. Valentine's Day. Brenda wore the yellow jacket. At 2:45 p.m. she headed to the main hallway. Her heart was pounding. The hallway was already crowded, more crowded than usual. Students lined both walls, phones out, whispering. Something was wrong. Then she saw the roses, dozens of them, scattered across the floor in a path leading to the center of the hallway where someone had arranged them in a giant heart shape. In the middle of the heart stood Dawson Prescott. Brenda froze. Not Dawson, not the richest, most popular boy in school. He couldn't be D, could he? "Brenda Miller," Dawson's voice carried across the hallway. "Come here." Every eye turned to her, phones lifted. Maya grabbed her arm. "Brenda, wait." But Brenda was already walking forward, because despite everything, she wanted to believe someone like Dawson Prescott could want someone like her. She walked into the heart of roses. "Hi," she whispered. "Hi, Brenda." He said her name like it meant something. "I've been watching you. I wanted to do something special for you, something you'd remember." He handed her a rose and chocolates. "Open the chocolates," Dawson said. Brenda picked one up, bit into it. The chocolate wasn't chocolate, it was clay. Hard, bitter, inedible clay molded to look like candy. She gagged, spitting it onto the floor. Laughter exploded around her. "Did you really think," Dawson said slowly, loud enough for everyone to hear, "that I would want to date you? The flowers, the notes, the teddy bear, it was all a bet. My friends bet me $500 I couldn't make a scholarship kid fall for a fake proposal." Then he grabbed her hair and yanked. Principal Henderson's office smelled like old coffee and leather furniture that cost more than Ronnie's truck. Brenda sat in a chair that was too big for her, her yellow jacket still stained with chocolate, her scalp still burning where Dawson had grabbed her. Ronnie stood behind her, one hand on her shoulder. Fury sat at his feet, eyes tracking every movement in the room. Henderson hadn't looked at Brenda once since they'd arrived. He kept his attention on his computer screen, clicking through what Ronnie assumed were the videos. 40 students had filmed the assault, 40 pieces of evidence that his daughter had been destroyed in front of witnesses. "Mr. Miller," Henderson finally said, closing his laptop, "I understand you're upset." "Upset?" Ronnie's voice was quiet, deadly quiet. "My daughter was assaulted in your hallway while your students filmed it for entertainment. Upset doesn't begin to cover what I am." Henderson held up a hand. "I've reviewed the footage. What I see is a Valentine's Day proposal that got out of hand. Teenage drama, nothing more." "Teenage drama?" Ronnie leaned forward. "A 17-year-old boy grabbed my 14-year-old daughter by the hair and physically restrained her while she begged him to stop. That's not drama, that's assault." "Mr. Miller, I think you're overreacting." "Show me your daughter." Ronnie's eyes locked onto Henderson's. "Show me a picture of your daughter, then imagine her on that floor with a boy's hand in her hair and 40 people laughing. Then tell me I'm overreacting." Henderson shifted in his chair. His eyes finally landed on Brenda, then quickly looked away. The bruises on her scalp were visible where her hair had been pulled. The tear in her jacket exposed a scrape on her shoulder from being shoved against the lockers. "The issue," Henderson said carefully, "is that Brenda's behavior leading up to this incident was questionable." Ronnie went very still. "Explain that." "She accepted gifts from Dawson all week. She wore the outfit he requested. She walked into that hallway knowing cameras would be present. Some could argue she was seeking attention." "She's 14, Ronnie's voice could have cut glass. "She's a child who thought someone liked her. That's not questionable behavior, that's being a kid." Henderson pulled out a folder. "Dawson Prescott comes from a very prominent family. His father has been extremely generous to this school. The Prescott name is on 3 buildings. I don't care if his name is on the moon." Ronnie stood up. "What I care about is what you're going to do about a student who assaulted my daughter on camera." "What I'm going to do," Henderson said slowly, "is recommend that Brenda transfer to another school for her own safety and well-being." Silence filled the office. Brenda's hand found her father's. Her fingers were shaking. "You're expelling her," Ronnie's voice was dangerously soft. "The victim." "Not expelling, recommending a transfer. Westridge Academy has certain standards of conduct. Brenda's presence here has become distracting. Other students are upset. Parents are calling. This kind of drama disrupts the learning environment." "Drama," Ronnie repeated the word like it tasted foul. "My daughter gets assaulted and you call it drama. Dawson Prescott commits battery on camera and you want to remove the victim to protect the learning environment." Henderson straightened his tie. "The Prescott family has invested millions in this institution. We have to consider." "Consider this." Ronnie placed both hands on Henderson's desk and leaned in. You have 40 videos of a crime, you have witnesses, you have a victim with visible injuries, and instead of calling the police, you're threatening to expel a 14-year-old girl because her attacker's father writes checks. Mr. Miller, I understand you're military, but this is a civilian matter. You're right, it is a civilian matter, which is why I'm calling the police myself. And then I'm calling every news station in the state. Let's see how Westridge Academy's reputation holds up when everyone knows you protect rich bullies and punish scholarship kids. Henderson's face went pale. That's not necessary. It's very necessary, Ronnie helped Brenda stand. We are done here. Expect to hear from my lawyer and the police, and probably the school board once I'm finished explaining how you blamed a child for being assaulted. He turned toward the door. Mr. Miller, Henderson called out, think about Brenda's future. Think about what's best for her education. Ronnie looked back. I am thinking about her future. I'm thinking she deserves better than a school that values money over safety. We'll see ourselves out. Richard Prescott arrived at Ronnie's house in a Mercedes that cost more than most people's mortgages. He stepped out wearing a suit that screamed power and money, his shoes so polished they reflected the afternoon sun. Ronnie watched from the living room window. Fury was already at the door, growling low in his throat. Stay here, Ronnie told Brenda. She was curled up on the couch in sweatpants and one of his old navy t-shirts, her hair still damp from the shower where she'd scrubbed chocolate and humiliation from her skin for 40 minutes. Dad. Stay here, his voice was gentle but firm. I'll handle this. He opened the door before Prescott could knock. Fury's growl deepened. Mr. Miller, Prescott's smile was all business, no warmth. We need to talk. No, we don't. Ronnie blocked the doorway. Leave. I think you'll want to hear what I have to say. Prescott held up a leather briefcase. I'm here to offer a solution that benefits everyone. Your son assaulted my daughter. There's no solution that benefits you. My son made a mistake. Prescott's smile never wavered. He's 17. Teenagers do stupid things, but we can make this right without destroying his future over one bad decision. Ronnie's jaw tightened. One bad decision? He planned it for 3 days. He humiliated her in front of 40 people. He grabbed her by the hair and made her kneel on the floor while everyone filmed it. And I'm prepared to compensate you generously for your daughter's distress. Prescott opened the briefcase. Inside were neat stacks of $100 bills and a single document, $50,000, and all you have to do is sign this non-disclosure agreement. No police reports, no lawsuits, no media interviews. We all move on. Ronnie stared at the money. $50,000 was more than he made in a year at the warehouse. It could pay for Brenda's therapy, her college fund, a better school district. That's blood money, Ronnie said quietly. That's practical money. Prescott's tone shifted, becoming harder. Look around, Mr. Miller. You live in a rental. You drive a 15-year-old truck. You work at a warehouse for barely above minimum wage. Your daughter goes to Westridge on scholarship because you can't afford private school tuition. You need this money. What I need is for your son to face consequences. Prescott's smile disappeared entirely. Let me be clear about something. I own half this town. I have connections you can't imagine, judges, politicians, military brass. He let that last word hang in the air. Military brass, Ronnie repeated slowly. That's right, Prescott stepped closer. I know people at the Pentagon, people who review military pensions, people who can make problems for veterans who get too troublesome. The threat was crystal clear. You're threatening my pension? Ronnie's voice went dangerously quiet. The pension I earned serving 12 years in the Navy, the one I got blown up for in Afghanistan. I'm simply pointing out reality. Prescott tapped the briefcase. Sign this agreement, take the money, and we all walk away happy, or refuse, and I make some phone calls. Suddenly, there are irregularities in your service record, questions about your medical discharge, delays in your pension payments that could take years to resolve. He paused. You have a daughter to feed, Mr. Miller. Can you afford to fight me while you're waiting for the VA to sort out paperwork that mysteriously keeps getting lost? Ronnie looked back at the living room. Brenda was watching from the couch, her eyes red from crying, her hair still showing marks where Dawson had grabbed her. His daughter. His little girl. The only thing in this world that mattered more than his pride. You have 24 hours to decide, Prescott said, placing a business card on top of the money. After that, the offer disappears and my phone calls begin. He turned and walked back to his Mercedes. Ronnie stood in the doorway, fists clenched, watching a man who thought money could buy anything drive away, including justice for a 14-year-old girl who'd only wanted someone to see her as special. The video went live at 11 p.m. that night. Ronnie was making Brenda tea in the kitchen when his phone started exploding with notifications. Text messages, missed calls, Facebook tags, Instagram mentions. He opened the first link. The video was titled, "Violent Vet Attacks Students with Attack Dog." It showed Ronnie walking through the hallway at Westridge Academy, Fury at his side. But the editing was masterful. Clever cuts made it look like Fury was lunging at students who were backing away in fear. Ronnie's face was frozen in a moment that looked aggressive, threatening. Audio had been manipulated to make Fury's warning growl sound vicious and unprovoked. The original context, Dawson assaulting Brenda, was completely absent. The caption read, "Unstable veteran brings dangerous attack dog to school, multiple students traumatized, parents demanding action." It had already been shared 4,000 times. Ronnie scrolled through the comments, his jaw tightening with each one. This guy should be arrested. What kind of psycho brings a German shepherd to a school? My daughter goes there, she's terrified to go back. Veterans like this are why people are scared of PTSD. Someone needs to put that dog down before it hurts a kid. His phone rang, unknown number, he answered. Mr. Miller, a woman's voice, professional and cold. This is Karen Williams from Child Protective Services. We've received multiple reports about an unsafe home environment for your daughter. Ronnie's blood went cold. What? Reports indicate you brought a dangerous animal into a school setting, displayed violent behavior toward minors, and may be suffering from untreated post-traumatic stress. We need to schedule a home visit to assess Brenda's safety. My daughter is perfectly safe. The visit is mandatory, Mr. Miller, tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you refuse to cooperate, we'll be forced to involve law enforcement. She hung up. Ronnie stared at his phone. This was Prescott. It had to be. The man had promised phone calls, promised to make problems. He just hadn't expected them this fast. By midnight, the video had 10,000 shares. Local news stations were picking it up. The Westridge Parents Association had issued a statement calling for Ronnie to be banned from school property. Someone had created a petition demanding Fury be classified as a dangerous animal. Brenda appeared in the kitchen doorway, clutching her phone. Her face was pale. Dad, they're saying terrible things about you. I know, Princess. They're saying you attacked students. They're saying Fury is dangerous. They're saying, her voice cracked, they're saying I'm not safe with you. Ronnie pulled her into a hug. She was shaking. None of it's true, he said quietly. You know that, right? None of it. But everyone believes it. She pulled back, tears streaming down her face. Dad, there are thousands of comments. People are saying you should lose custody of me. They're saying you should be arrested. They're saying. Her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and her face went even paler. What? Ronnie asked. It's Maya. She says her parents won't let her talk to me anymore. They saw the video. They think you're dangerous. More notifications flooded Ronnie's phone. An email from his supervisor at the warehouse. Need to discuss your employment status tomorrow. A message from his landlord. Other tenants are concerned about the dog. A voicemail from the VA. Questions have been raised about your discharge status. Prescott was burning down his entire life. And he was doing it with edited footage and social media manipulation. By 1 a.m., someone had posted Ronnie's home address online. Comments appeared underneath it. Everyone in Westridge needs to know where this psycho lives. Keep your kids away from this neighborhood. Someone should call the cops every time they see him outside. Ronnie sat on the couch, Fury's head resting on his knee, watching his reputation get destroyed in real time by people who'd never met him, never served, never faced anything harder than a bad Yelp review. Prescott had promised to make phone calls. He'd done something much worse. He'd turned an entire town into a weapon. And the target was a man who'd spent 12 years defending people who now wanted him arrested for protecting his daughter. Ronnie made the call at 2 a.m. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered, alert despite the hour. Miller, Bina Wild. Martinez, Ronnie exhaled, I need help. Commander Jake Martinez had been Ronnie's team leader for 6 years in the SEALs. They'd run operations in places that didn't exist on maps, extracted hostages from situations that should have been impossible, and watched each other's backs through firefights that still showed up in nightmares. Martinez didn't ask questions, he just listened. Ronnie explained everything: the assault, the principal's office, Prescott's threats, the edited video destroying his life. When he finished, Martinez was quiet for 3 seconds. How many students filmed the original incident? 40, maybe more. And the edited version removes all context showing your daughter being assaulted. All of it. Then we need the originals. Martinez's voice shifted into mission mode. The real footage, unedited, time-stamped, multiple angles showing exactly what happened before you arrived. The kids won't just hand over their phones. They don't need to. Martinez paused. Remember Chen, he's doing cybersecurity consulting now, and Brooks, private investigator in Virginia. Thompson's teaching digital forensics at Quantico. Ronnie felt something shift in his chest, hope maybe, or just the relief of not being alone. You do that for this. Brother, you took shrapnel for me in Kandahar. Martinez's tone was steel. You think I'm letting some rich piece of trash destroy you over protecting your daughter? Stand by, I'm making calls. The line went dead. By 6 a.m., Ronnie's phone rang again, different number. Miller, this is Chen. Martinez briefed me. I'm tracking social media posts from Westridge Academy students who were present at the incident. Found 43 different accounts that posted content from Valentine's Day. Most deleted the original videos after the edited version went viral, but nothing's ever really deleted. Can you recover them? Already working on it. I've got metadata from the Instagram and TikTok posts. Timestamps, geolocation data, original file sizes. Give me 6 hours. At 7 a.m., another call, Brooks. Got something interesting, he said without preamble. Richard Prescott hired a media consultant 3 days ago, company called Reputation Defense Group. They specialize in crisis management and social media manipulation. The edited video, professional work. This wasn't some kid with iMovie. This was a coordinated attack. Can you prove that? Working on it. I've got a contact at their firm, former client who got burned. She's willing to talk off the record about their methods. At 8 a.m., Thompson called. Martinez sent me the edited video. I'm running forensic analysis on the file, audio manipulation, visual cuts, timestamp discrepancies. This thing has more red flags than a Soviet parade. I can provide expert testimony that it's been deliberately altered to misrepresent events. Ronnie sat at his kitchen table, Fury at his feet, watching his old team mobilize like they were planning an extraction in hostile territory. Because that's exactly what this was. His daughter was the hostage, the Prescotts were the enemy, and 40 students had evidence that could prove the truth. By 9 a.m., Chen called back. Got 6 original videos recovered. Want the good news or the bad news? Good news. The footage is damning, shows everything. The fake promposal, Dawson grabbing Brenda's hair, her trying to get away, him forcing her down, multiple angles, clear audio of him bragging about the bet. This is assault, Miller, textbook definition. Bad news. 2 of the students who filmed it are Prescott's friends. They'll claim the files are fake or refuse to authenticate them. We need more. We need someone who was there, who filmed it, who'll go on record against Dawson. Who? There's one girl, Vanessa Sterling, Dawson's girlfriend. Her footage is the clearest because she was standing right next to him. And here's the interesting part, she hasn't deleted anything. Her cloud backup still has the original file, time-stamped, unedited. Ronnie remembered her, blonde girl with the phone, adjusting filters while his daughter was being destroyed. She won't help us. Maybe she will, Chen said, because I did some digging. Vanessa's got a younger sister, freshman, same age as Brenda, and 3 weeks ago she posted something on a private Instagram story about Dawson that she deleted within an hour. What did it say? He scares me sometimes. Ronnie's jaw tightened. Martinez called at 9:30. We've got a play, he said. Chen recovered the files. Brooks is documenting the media company's involvement. Thompson's building the forensic case. Now we need the human element, someone who was there who'll tell the truth. Vanessa Sterling, Ronnie said. Exactly, you need to talk to her, today, before Prescott realizes we're coming for him. The files arrived in Ronnie's email at 11 a.m. Brooks had sent them with a single line, you need to see this. There were 7 folders, each one named with a year and a set of initials. Ronnie opened the first one, 2021 SM. Inside was a police report that had been filed and then withdrawn. A 14-year-old girl named Sarah Morrison had accused Dawson Prescott of sexual harassment. She'd reported that he'd cornered her in the library, touched her inappropriately, and threatened her when she tried to leave. The report was dated March 15th. It was officially withdrawn March 18th. Attached was a settlement agreement. The Morrison family had received $75,000 in exchange for their silence and Sarah's immediate transfer to another school. The agreement included a non-disparagement clause and a provision that if they ever spoke publicly about the incident, they'd have to return the money plus legal fees. Richard Prescott's signature was at the bottom. Ronnie's hands started shaking. He opened the second folder, 2022 K. Kevin Liu, 15 years old, football team. He'd reported that Dawson had assaulted him in the locker room after Kevin refused to help him cheat on a chemistry exam. Broken nose, fractured rib, hospital records included. The family filed a lawsuit. It was settled out of court 6 weeks later for $90,000. Same non-disclosure agreement, same threats about legal fees if they talked. Kevin's family had moved to Oregon 3 months later. Third folder, 2022 MP. Maya Patterson, 16, honor student. She'd accused Dawson of destroying her college application portfolio after she rejected his advances, ripped paintings, deleted digital files, years of work gone. Settlement, $40,000, and a written recommendation letter from Principal Henderson for her college applications. She'd graduated early and left Westridge. Fourth folder, 2023 JR. James Rodriguez, 14, scholarship student. Dawson had posted fake social media accounts in James's name containing racist content and threats. James had been expelled before the truth came out. Settlement, $100,000, expungement of his record, and the Rodriguez family's immediate relocation to another state. Ronnie kept opening folders. 2023 AK assault. 2024 LT sexual harassment. 2024 DW theft and blackmail. 7 victims in 4 years. 7 families paid off. 7 children whose lives had been destroyed by Dawson Prescott while his father wrote checks and made the problems disappear. And every single incident had been reported to Principal Henderson. Every single one had been buried. Ronnie's phone rang. It was Brooks. "You see them?" "I see them." Ronnie's voice was hollow. "There's more." I talked to 3 of the families, off the record. They all said the same thing. Henderson knew, the school board knew, but the Prescott family donates $500,000 a year to Westridge Academy, new gymnasium, STEM building, athletic complex. The board decided Dawson's behavior was an acceptable price to pay for keeping the money flowing. They sacrificed children for donations. Exactly, and here's the worst part. 2 of those families tried to go public after they'd moved away. Both got sued by Prescott's lawyers for violating the NDA. Legal fees bankrupted one family. The other family's father lost his job after Prescott made calls to his employer. Ronnie looked at the screen. 7 folders, 7 children, 7 families destroyed. And Brenda would have been number 8 if he'd signed that agreement. "The school board meets Thursday," Brooks continued. "Emergency session about the viral video. They're voting on whether to ban you from school property and file a restraining order. Prescott's going to be there with his lawyers. Then I'll be there too. Miller, they're going to ambush you." "Let them," Ronnie's jaw set. "I've got 7 families who were silenced. I've got proof Henderson buried reports. I've got evidence the board chose money over children. And I've got a daughter who deserves better than a system that protects rich bullies and punishes victims." He paused, looking at Brenda's closed bedroom door. "Prescott wanted a war. He's about to get one. What do you need?" "Contact those families. Tell them what's happening. Tell them they're not alone anymore. And tell them if they're willing to speak up, really speak up, consequences be damned, I'll stand with them." Some of them signed NDAs. "Then we break the NDAs together," Ronnie said. "Prescott can't sue all of us, and even if he does, some fights are worth having." Brooks was quiet for a moment. "I'll make the calls." The Westridge Academy annual charity gala was held at the Prescott Convention Center, because of course it was. 200 of the town's wealthiest families gathered in formal wear, sipping champagne that cost more per bottle than Ronnie made in a week. Richard Prescott stood on stage in a custom tuxedo, microphone in hand, thanking everyone for their generous donations to the school's scholarship fund. The irony wasn't lost on Ronnie. He stood in the back of the ballroom wearing his navy dress blues. Every medal he'd earned over 12 years of service was pinned to his chest. Fury sat at his side in a service vest, perfectly still, perfectly trained. People had noticed them. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Phones came out. Security guards near the entrance shifted nervously, but nobody approached. Veterans in uniform commanded a certain respect, even from people who'd spent the last week calling him dangerous online. Chen's voice crackled in the earpiece Ronnie wore. "We're in position, say the word." Ronnie waited. He watched Prescott smile, watched him charm the crowd, watched him accept a plaque honoring his family's dedication to education and youth development. Then Prescott said something that made Ronnie's blood run cold. "We must protect our children from violence and instability. Recent events have shown us that not everyone who enters our schools has our children's best interests at heart. That's why I'm announcing a new security initiative, a comprehensive threat assessment program to ensure dangerous individuals can't harm our students." Applause filled the ballroom. Prescott was using his son's assault of Brenda to fundraise for security theater that would keep victims' fathers away. Ronnie pulled out his phone and typed one word to Chen. "Now." The lights went out. The ballroom plunged into darkness. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Someone screamed. Security guards reached for their radios. Then the projector activated. A massive screen behind the stage flickered to life. The Westridge Academy logo appeared, then dissolved. Video began playing. The main hallway, Valentine's Day, the rose petals scattered on the floor, Brenda walking into the heart shape where Dawson waited. The audio was crystal clear. Did you really think that I would want to date you? The flowers, the notes, the teddy bear, it was all a bet. My friends bet me $500 I couldn't make a scholarship kid fall for a fake proposal. The ballroom went silent. On screen, Brenda's face crumpled. She tried to step back. Dawson grabbed her hair. Say you're worthless, say it. Multiple camera angles appeared in split screen, all of them showing the same thing. Dawson's fist twisted in her hair, Brenda clawing at his wrist, her knees hitting the floor, 40 students filming, laughing. Someone in the crowd sobbed. The video continued, 4 minutes of unedited footage, every angle, every word, every moment of humiliation captured in high definition. Then Ronnie appeared on screen, walking through the crowd in his camouflage uniform. The confrontation played out exactly as it had happened. His quiet commands, Dawson's defiance, the final threat. The video ended. The lights came back on. 200 of Westridge's elites stood frozen, champagne glasses forgotten, staring at the screen where the school logo had returned. Richard Prescott stood on stage, microphone still in his hand, his face the color of ash. Ronnie walked down the center aisle, his boots echoed on the marble floor. Fury moved with him, a silent shadow. Every eye followed him. He climbed the stairs to the stage. Prescott took a step backward. Ronnie took the microphone from his hand. My name is Ronnie Miller, he said, into the sudden silence. That was my 14-year-old daughter being assaulted by Dawson Prescott while your children filmed it for entertainment. He paused, looking out at the crowd, saw mothers with tears in their eyes, saw fathers whose faces had gone pale, saw Principal Henderson trying to slip toward the exit. For the past week, you've been told I'm dangerous, that I'm unstable, that I brought a vicious dog into a school and threatened students. You've seen an edited video designed to make you afraid of me. He gestured to the screen. What you just saw was the truth the police refused to investigate, the truth Principal Henderson tried to bury, the truth Richard Prescott offered me $50,000 to keep quiet about. Gasps rippled through the crowd. But here's what you don't know, Ronnie continued. Brenda isn't the first. There have been 7 other victims, 7 other families paid off and silenced, 7 other children whose lives were destroyed while you celebrated the Prescott name on gymnasiums and STEM buildings. He pulled a folder from inside his uniform jacket and held it up. I have their names, I have their stories, I have the settlement agreements they were forced to sign. And as of this morning, 6 of those families have agreed to go public, NDAs be damned. Richard Prescott found his voice. You're slandering my family. I'm telling the truth. Ronnie's eyes locked onto his. And the truth is that you've been using your money to protect a predator. The FBI arrived 3 days after the gala. 2 agents in dark suits walked into Westridge Academy at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning. They went straight to Principal Henderson's office with a warrant for his records. By noon, they'd seized 4 filing cabinets worth of documents, including settlement agreements, deleted emails, and financial records showing payments from Richard Prescott to the school's general fund that coincidentally appeared right after each incident was buried. Henderson was escorted out in handcuffs by 2 p.m. The school board held an emergency meeting that evening. All 7 members resigned before the week was over. Richard Prescott's empire started crumbling on day 4. The FBI's public corruption investigation expanded to include bribery, witness tampering, and obstruction of justice. His donations to the police department, the mayor's re-election campaign, and various city officials suddenly looked a lot less charitable and a lot more like buying protection for his son. Federal charges were filed on day 6. Dawson was arrested on day 7. Ronnie watched it happen from his truck in the school parking lot. Two FBI agents walked Dawson out of his house in handcuffs while news cameras filmed everything. Dawson's face was red, twisted with rage and disbelief. "Do you know who my father is?" he screamed at the agents. "Do you know who I am? You can't do this. I'm untouchable." The handcuffs clicked shut. "Doesn't look that way," one of the agents said. Dawson saw the cameras, saw the neighbors watching, saw his perfectly constructed world collapsing in real time. "This isn't over," he shouted. "My dad has lawyers. We have money. You can't." "You have the right to remain silent," the agent interrupted. "I suggest you use it." They put him in the back of an unmarked car and drove away. Ronnie's phone buzzed. It was Martinez. "You watching?" "Yeah." "Good, Brooks just confirmed. 3 more families came forward after your gala speech. That's 10 victims total. The DA says with this much evidence, Dawson's looking at actual prison time. Juvenile facility, but still locked up." Ronnie exhaled slowly. "What about Richard?" "Federal charges stick. He's looking at 5 to 10. Bribery, obstruction, witness tampering. His lawyers are already trying to negotiate a plea deal, but the FBI isn't budging. They want to make an example out of him." "Good." 2 months later, Westridge Academy looked different. The new principal was a woman named Dr. Sarah Chen, no relation to Ronnie's tech expert, but just as committed to doing things right. Her first act was implementing a transparent reporting system for bullying and assault. Her second was removing the Prescott name from every building on campus. The gymnasium became the Morrison Liu Athletic Center after the first 2 victims who'd agreed to speak publicly. The STEM building was renamed the Student Safety and Excellence Center. The scholarship fund was restructured to actually help students, instead of serving as Richard Prescott's tax write-off and reputation management tool. Brenda walked through those halls 3 months after Valentine's Day wearing a new yellow jacket, this one bought with money from the settlement the school had offered to avoid a lawsuit. She'd turned down the money at first, but Ronnie had convinced her to take it and use it for college. "They owe you," he'd said. "Don't let pride get in the way of your future." Maya walked beside her now, along with 2 other scholarship students who transferred back after Henderson was fired. The hallway that had once felt like enemy territory now felt almost normal. Almost. Some students still whispered, some still stared. The video had millions of views. Brenda's face was recognizable. She'd become the girl from the Valentine's Day assault video, a title she'd never wanted. But she was also the girl whose father had fought back. The girl who'd stood up to a system designed to protect the powerful. The girl who'd survived. "You okay?" Maya asked as they passed the spot where the roses had been scattered. Brenda looked at the floor. Someone had placed a small memorial there, not for what happened, but for what changed afterward. 7 names written in chalk, 7 victims who'd finally been heard. "Yeah," Brenda said, "I'm okay." That afternoon, Ronnie picked her up from school like he did every day now. She climbed into the truck, Fury greeting her from the back seat with a wagging tail. "How was it?" Ronnie asked. "Better." She buckled her seatbelt. Dr. Chen gave an assembly about the new reporting system. She told everyone that what happened to me, what happened to all of us, would never happen again, not on her watch. "You believe her?" Brenda thought about it. "I want to." "That's a start." They drove home through streets where people no longer crossed to the other side when they saw Ronnie coming. The viral video had been replaced by news coverage of the FBI investigation. The narrative had shifted from dangerous veteran to father who exposed corruption. His job at the warehouse had been saved after his supervisor saw the real footage. His landlord had apologized. The VA had cleared the irregularities in his file, irregularities that had mysteriously appeared and just as mysteriously vanished once federal investigators got involved. Prescott's network of influence was dismantled piece by piece. That night, Brenda sat at the kitchen table doing homework while Ronnie made dinner. Fury was sprawled across her feet, snoring softly. "Dad," she said suddenly. "Yeah, princess. Do you think Dawson will actually change in juvie?" Ronnie set down the knife he'd been using to chop vegetables. "Honestly, I don't know. Some people change when they face consequences. Some people just get better at hiding who they really are." "But you stopped him." "We stopped him, you, me, Martinez, the families who spoke up, all of us together." "Was it worth it?" She looked up from her homework. "All the threats, the videos, the FBI, everything." Ronnie walked over and kissed the top of her head. "You're safe, you're healing. 7 other kids got justice. A corrupt system got exposed. Yeah, princess, it was worth it." Brenda smiled, small but real. Outside, the sun was setting over Westridge. Somewhere in a juvenile detention facility, Dawson Prescott was learning that money couldn't buy everything. Somewhere in a federal holding cell, Richard Prescott was realizing the same thing. And in a small rental house on the edge of town, a father and daughter were finally breathing easy. Because sometimes the good guys do win. Sometimes courage defeats corruption. And sometimes a father's love is stronger than any amount of money a bully can throw at him.